Welcome to Beanie Composter. If you don't already know, we're in Poland and the missus will tell you exactly where we are.
Białka Tatrzańska.
So as you can see, beautiful landscape, and if you were composting, well, you wouldn't go and put that in your compost heap when it looks as beautiful as this, would you? But just to let you know, we're on holiday in Poland, enjoying every minute of it. And we're posting a video today on Slugs and Snails, which is only a quick one, but we just thought it would give you something, to watch. But this is just a bit of a view at, where we are at the moment, and happy composting.
This is our last day in Poland and we are in my mom's little garden. Although not many people have composters here and we haven't seen anyone with the Hotbin, they have other ways to get rid of slugs and snails, and I will tell you all about it at the end of this video.
There's not many French people around here, so I'm not going to be able to get rid of all the snails. And if you look at the weather, it's just wet as anything this summer. And our dahlias are being attacked left, right and centre by not only snails, but by slugs as well. And if you look at this matey, someone's been trying to eat him anyway. But that just goes to lead you, what do you do with your slugs and snails? They're probably one of the gardener's worst enemies. I just put them in the Hotbin composter when it's at 40 degrees, and they sort of basically cook to a slow death, which I'm sure most people would say that's not very nice, but is giving them poison or putting beer traps out just as nice? I'm not so sure. At least this way, they're going into the Hotbin and they're gonna finish their life quite quick and put nutrients back into your garden. So we're at just about 60 degrees, and the snail and the slug, I know it's cruel and I hate it. I shut the lid and they will, get cooked in there. And like I say, I know that is very cruel, but we've got a small pond in the garden, and when we first came here, the missus was putting the slug pellets down like she was, I don't know, feeding hens. So I just thought, fair enough, that does kill off the slugs and snails and protects your plants. But one thing I found which sort of did make me a little bit dubious was the fact that we had the pond with frogs, and I didn't want the frogs going and eating, the slugs that have already eaten that poison. And maybe, I don't know if it would happen, but maybe the poison would go into the frogs and then we'd lose all our frog population. So I know it's cruel, but as you've seen, those slugs and snails are pretty big, and I'm sure they've had like quite a nice life. They've just munched on a dahlia before they, get their upcomings. So, last meal a dahlia, what's not to like about that? So if you want to save your plants and keep your Hotbin fed, then you can do this. You can use the pellets or slug traps, beer traps, whatever you want to use. But even if you're using beer traps, you're going to have to fish those slugs and snails out. And I know we did do that for a little while before we had this compost, and I can guarantee you that's probably one of the smelliest things to have to do after a couple of days of them sitting in that beer trap. So for me, this is quite a quick, simple way, just walking out when it's raining or when it's just been raining, collect all the slugs and snails up. If you don't want to kill them like this, then just collect them up and take them, to the field, over the road or wherever you can. But they do say that they do tend to come back, and don't go throwing them over next door's garden, because I'm sure they will come back and the next door neighbour probably won't be too happy with you. So just a quick video showing you how you can get rid of slugs and snails if the composter is at hot composting temperatures. And good for you in the garden, maybe not so good for the slug and snail.
Do you think you've got a snail problem in the UK? Have a look at this one in Poland. This one is not going in the compost bin, no.
I know there's going to be some people watching this video that are going to be a bit horrified by the fact that I'm putting live slugs and snails into the hot bin, and yes, it is very cruel and not very nice, but you know, sometimes you have to just do things. And you know, we've tried to have frogs in the garden, but they don't seem to sort of eat that many of the slugs and snails. And I think, you know, over time things have changed. We used to have hedgehogs coming into the garden when I first moved into this area, but with, you know, all the fences and that go up now, and people sort of concrete all the, you know, front drives, you kind of lose all that habitat for things like hedgehogs that would naturally eat stuff like this. So, you know, if you're quite passionate about your garden, you're going to use some form of, you know, of slug and snail control to manage your garden. So you've got pretty dahlias that are just all being eaten, and this summer has been extra wet, so you're getting a lot of these. But even in the height, you know, when we have really hot summers and then you suddenly get a big thunderstorm, they'll all come out from, you know, God knows where, and then all your plants will start getting eaten. So if you are a passionate gardener, you will use some sort of thing. So for me, putting them straight in the hot bin is no different to killing them with, you know, slug pellets or, you know, beer traps. So, you know, if this video does offend anyone, then I apologise, but this is just how we manage, you know, the slugs and snails in our garden. And like I say, we do have some frogs around, but not enough to manage what we've got around here.
So there are some other ways to get rid of the slugs and snails if you don't have a hot bin or you don't want to kill them. So some people in Poland told me what they do is they invest in ducks. Runner ducks apparently can eat up to 50 slugs a day. People in Poland have a lot more space, and many of them have little ponds as well. So obviously these are ideal for the ducks. In Poland, people have a lot more space, and many of them keep animals. However, for us, it would not work. If you are into Hotbin, just do what Beanie does. Actually, I need to confess that I always ask him to put slugs and snails into his composter. He's not very keen, but I really love my flowers. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like. We really appreciate your comments as well. And see you back in the UK.